Okay, so this is going to be a MLA format review with a couple of new pieces of information that I'm going to include about in-text citations, because the last time we did this was the beginning of the semester, and it was really super easy because we had a book with an author and page numbers, so it was very easy to figure out what went in the parentheses after you put your quote. Well, it's a little bit different now because a lot of you are using websites that do not have authors or just different. It's going to look a little bit different because websites, we're not going to use page numbers either. So we have to figure out what goes in the parentheses. So first, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start off talking quickly about the three things that MLA regulates, which are document format, in-text citations, which is what I was just talking about, and the works cited page. Okay, I just wanted to remind you that you need to be looking at the setting up of your paper, the setup, what goes in the parentheses or in the setup of your research, and then the works cited page. So all of these things, after you type your paper, now you have to go back and adjust. So reminder of the general guidelines. So you need to double space every single line from the very beginning with your name on it. The very first line should be your name in the page 1, all the way down to the end of the works cited page. Make sure you don't have any extra space in between paragraphs. You're using size 12 Times New Roman font. Every single margin is 1 inch on all 4 sides. You indent the first line of a paragraph 1 tab. That's how you can tell you're starting a new paragraph. You do not put an extra space between paragraphs, like we just said. So that's, again, just 1 tab will let me know that you're starting a new paragraph. And there should only be 5 paragraphs for CP and 6 for honors. The page number is a 1/2 inch from the top of the right of every page. So to do that, you go to Insert Page Number, and then it'll put a 1. You type your last name in front of that number, highlight the whole thing, and change it to Times New Roman font. Now, every single page will say your last name and 1, your last name and 2 automatically. So setting up the first page, you've got your name. This one is I'm a student again. You have my name, Mrs. Watkins. You have the course. Please don't abbreviate. World Lit. Type out literature. So you could type honors world literature or CP world literature, or honestly, I don't care if you just put world literature. And then you have the date, which is formatted either day, month, fully written out, and then year, or month, day, comma, year. But you're not abbreviating anything. And then you're not doing like 4/3/20. Okay, so again, no abbreviations. You have 2 options for the formatting of the date. There at the top, over here at the top right-hand corner is the your last name and the number that I just went over. Your title is centered. It is not bolded, not underlined, not italicized, nothing weird. And again, it shouldn't say argumentative essay. It should have to do with your topic. So it could be starting the school day later, or paying college athletes, or something. The first letter of every major word is capitalized in a title. And then you start your introduction paragraph after you tab over once. Look how there are no extra spaces anywhere, and you are 1 inch margins on all sides. Okay. Just quickly, if you are quoting, and any time you use anything from your source, you can either choose to quote or paraphrase it, and I've already talked about that in previous videos. But either way, you have to have an in-text citation. Okay. Now, if you are quoting and you want to add words, you put, and we talked about this before, you put it in brackets. You put your information in the brackets, and then I'll know that that wasn't in the original text or website or article or whatever you got it from, but that you're adding that in order to clarify something. And then to omit words, this is a long explanation, but all you're doing is putting ... And again, this is from quotes. If you're paraphrasing, this wouldn't matter because you can kind of put it into your own words. But again, you would still need to mention where you got that from. Okay, your works cited page, and I'm going to go back and talk about in-text citations in a minute, but for your works cited page, it's the last page of your paper. It's by itself, even if your paper ends mid-page. The sources are listed in alphabetical order. You double space everything evenly throughout. The first line of every source stays at the 1-inch margin, and then every line after the first line of the entry gets one tab over. Also, it starts with the words works cited in the center, top as high as you can go at the 1-inch margin. The letters W and C are capitalized, so it should look like this. For CP, I'm looking for a minimum, and you should probably have more, a minimum of 2 source entries, and then for honors, it's a minimum of 3. Okay, so we finished that presentation, and now I want to go to, and you have this document in Schoology, and I'll post it on Band as well, but this is how you do your in-text citations. Now, first thing this says is both quotes and paraphrase material from a source must be cited within the paper and in the works cited page. The easiest way to do this is to make the works cited page first. Before you go back and try to figure out what goes in the parentheses or what goes in the setup, before you list your evidence, then you have to make your works cited page first. I'm telling you, it's way easier to do it this way. Okay, you can use EasyBib or Citation Machine, and you need to make sure that you go back and manually enter any information that didn't load, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so once you make your works cited page, let's say, and then it tells you your step-by-step instructions that I'm about to go over, but if your works cited entry looks like this, okay, so I typed in the website, I copied and pasted the URL into EasyBib, and it gave me this. Okay, so let's say this is in my works cited page. I'm just showing you a snippet. Okay, within your paper, it would look like this. So let's say within my essay, I say the National Library of Medicine states that, quote, blah, 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 blah. I can easily figure out what goes in the parentheses, and I highlighted it here. It's not really going to be highlighted in your paper, but it's the first piece of information from your works cited entry. It says that right here, the first piece of information in your works cited entry. In this case, there was no author, so it's a long article name. It's the first thing I see in this entry, right? Well, you don't need to put the entire article name in the parentheses here within your paper. You can shorten it, okay? And that says it here. The first piece of information in the works cited, if it's a long article title, you can use the first few words. So that's what I did here. And because it's an article title and it's in quotes here, I'm putting it in quotes here, okay? So the highlighted pieces are just showing you that, look, this is the first piece of information from the site, or from the entry, sorry, so that goes in the parentheses. Now, the other way you can do this is you can mention what would go here in the parentheses as your setup in your paper. So I could say, in an article called Depression High Among Youth Victims of School Cyberbullying, and then I could put my blah, 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 okay? It would be repetitive for me to put this here after this. It would be repetitive because I already stated the first piece of information from the entry, which is this article title. Look, here's my works cited entry. Let me give you another example. If this is what my works cited entry looks like, okay, this is what I got when I made it an EasyBib, then I would either quote or paraphrase from this article within my essay, and then I take easily the first piece of information I found. This is a super long article title, so I just put the first 3 words and I put it at the end. Okay, same thing. I still have this same piece of information, but if I don't want to do the in-text citation as a parenthetical citation, I can just put it ahead. Okay, so I could say, according to an article titled blah, 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 and then I would insert or paraphrase from the article after. And then I said, notice I do not need a parenthetical citation after this because I already mentioned the first piece of information from the works cited entry. In this case, it was an article title. Let me give you another example. Same thing. If the works cited entry looks like this one has an author. Okay, Rachel Stark Mason is her last name. So again, I highlighted just to show you. It's only the author's last name if it is an author, okay? And within the paper, I would quote or paraphrase from this website, and then in the parentheses, I put her last name. First piece of information from the entry, first piece of information from the entry. Or I can, instead of doing the parentheses after, I could say it before. So I could say, according to NCAA author Rachel Stark Mason. So I didn't just say according to Rachel Stark Mason, because then I don't know if she's credible. I don't know why I should trust her. Now I know she writes for the NCAA. Okay. Then I would put my quote or paraphrase. And then again, I said, notice I don't need parentheses after, because I already mentioned the first piece of information from the works cited entry in the setup, which in this case, it was the author's last name. So all this highlighted stuff, I'm just trying to show you. If you make your works cited page, all you do is find the first piece of information. So it's probably going to be an author's last name or an article title. Okay? So hopefully that clarifies how to do the parentheses after or any of the in-text citations. Again, you don't have to do parentheses at all if you just put it here. But it has to easily match up. And the reason why you do it like this is because think of if I had a works cited page with 50 sources listed on it, I need to easily be able to go back within the paper and say, oh, I'm reading this essay and she says it's called Depression High Among, okay, now I go to the works cited entry and the works cited page has 50 sources, remember, but it's listed in alphabetical order. So now I go to the D and then I say, oh, this is where she got that from. Now, if I want to look up more information about that information or that site, I can easily go and find that online. Okay, so again, please don't forget, a lot of you are using information from a source in your hook. Okay, so if you're doing that, you have to put an in-text citation after it. A lot of people tend to forget that. In your supporting argument paragraphs, you have to have in-text citations. Again, either if you paraphrased or quoted it, because it's still not your information. You got it from somewhere. So you have to give credit to that source. Okay, so that hopefully I'll attach this document so you can reference this to both band and Schoology if it works. I will also attach this presentation as a PDF so that you can remember, clues on setting up the first page, how to add words, omit words, what the works cited page looks like, and all the things you need. I'll add that all to both of those platforms, Schoology and Band app. If you have any questions, let me know. This is the last piece of any kind of writing lesson that I need to give you. You now have everything you possibly need, could need to write this paper, format it correctly, and get a good grade on it. Okay, if you need me to look over anything, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, the rough draft is going to be due. Actually, I might just make it the final copy due in the middle of next week. All right. Talk to you guys later.